Well, here we have another video from me. We'll just see how this goes. Uh, we have here my very old Hoover Ranger from 1972. Now it doesn't actually say Ranger on the Hoover anywhere, but that is what I'm led to believe it is called. There's probably a model number underneath, but I'm not going to pull the thing upside down to find out what it is. But I know it's from the very early 70s. It's got a look about it from the early 70s, late 60s. And I've had this for some time. It used to belong to a friend of mine, and we swapped it for something. I had something he wanted, and I fancied this old vacuum cleaner. Although at the time it wasn't in good working order. I think he'd got it from a boot fair and done nothing with it for years, and it showed. The motor bearings were dry, all the mechanics inside were dry, and if you did switch it on, it was very, very noisy. It certainly wasn't what you would call in working order, and it was also dangerous. And the other thing that wasn't working, the bulb had blown in the light. You see there's a light there, which is very handy for when you're hoovering under chairs or the desk or the dining room table and chairs there. Very handy for that indeed, and that didn't work. And also it seemed a shame that it didn't work, of course, because I wanted it to be in full working order, as it was when new. And as I say, it was dangerous because the original mains cable had been taped up with insulation tape in many places, and to be honest, it had dried up and it was even falling off in places, so it wasn't actually doing its job at all. And so what I've done is I've actually managed to retain some of the original wiring, which is in good condition. I've cut all the bad bits off. As you can imagine, the bad bits would be where the stress has been over the period of about 40 years, and where it was flexed all the time. But of course I have managed to save quite a long length of it, which goes up to this connector block just here by my foot, and that's a very old connector block, Bakelite connector block. Seemed fitting to use that on this Hoover. And then what I've done is from that connector block round the loop and right the way up to the socket here is another piece of cord cable, which came from another Hoover, which unfortunately had to be scrapped. It was a defunct Hoover, and I kept the long cable off of it, which came in handy for this Hoover here. And it now means that this cable will reach from one end of the lounge to the other very easily, and I can plug it into any socket. That one over there, I can even plug it into a socket in the kitchen if I wish, and I will still be able to reach the bay window behind me in the lounge. And this is a very long living room, as it's two rooms knocked into one in a Victorian terraced house, so it's a nice long room. And now I've modified the wire so that it reaches, this Hoover is very useful indeed. Or I should say it was very useful until the other day, when the belt, which does the rotary brush unit underneath, the belt started to perish and split. I'd noticed that the belt was cracked for some time, but what had eventually happened is where it was cracking, it started splitting. And I don't know if you can see in the film here, but this belt is very cracked, and where it's cracked it has split there, and just there near my little finger it's split in two places quite badly. And of course where it's split like this, it then jammed the brush unit up. So the brush cylinder, which is meant to rotate via this belt, just jammed solid, which wasn't particularly good for the motor, and eventually it probably would have burnt through this belt where it was slipping. But anyway, so I didn't let it carry on running as it was, and I bought some time ago, because I knew it was going to need new belts, some genuine Hoover belts. And here is what one of them looks like new. As you can see, doesn't look very much like the old one, does it? You can see how this one's stretched and gone egg-shaped and split and perished. And there's this one here, which even has the original part number stamped on it, which is nice and flexible, not perishing at all, and is just the job. And the firm I bought these belts off of very kindly provided 2 replacement bags. And as it happened, when I was changing the belt, I checked the bag and it was about 3/4 of the way full, and hadn't had a new bag for some time. So I have changed the bag. I've got a spare bag and a spare belt, which is very handy because I actually own a second one of these, which is up in the loft at the moment, which I haven't yet got running, but that is a future project. It's actually in better condition, this one, and much it hasn't been used anywhere near as much as this one. This one's had quite a hard life, I think, and although I've got it running perfectly now, I reckon the one up in the loft will probably run even better than this, and probably sound better than this one, because it will have a lot less wear and tear. But yeah, this one does show it's had a lot of use. You can see where the paint's rubbed off here by the handle. There should also be another clip here that you wrap the cable around, but that's been snapped off. But I'm not too worried, because this main metal clip here is still present, and you can wrap the cable around that, so it's not a problem. Anyway, I've actually done a bit of hoovering with it already upstairs, and it works well with the new belt. And as I say, it's good to know I've got that spare one there, which I can use when I come to do the other vacuum cleaner. These are lovely vacuum cleaners, and they work extremely well when they're in good order. They are very powerful, and they do an excellent job, especially when you have a deep piled carpet like the one I've got here. Now, this carpet isn't particularly dirty as it happens, but I shall certainly do my best to do a little demonstration. Most of you watching this video will know what one of these hoovers is about, and that's probably why you're watching this video. But in order to operate the hoover, we want to be able to operate the hoover at arm's length, and the switch on. as I say, it's quite a noisy vacuum cleaner. But then again, I've noticed a lot of these modern ones, these Dysons and the like, are very noisy. Of course they're much lighter than this. This is a very heavy thing to carry up and down the stairs. So this one actually lives upstairs for the most part. It's only come downstairs for me to demonstrate it because I've got more floor space down here in the lounge to do it. But that is the beast, the Hoover Ranger, and I'll just very quickly tip it on its side so you can have a look at how easy it is to access the belt. These are not hard to work on at all. Two levers here and here. That releases this metal plate, and there you have the roller, which is what rotates and beats the pile of the carpet to agitate any dirt that's laying in there. And there is the belt, which you have to wrap around the pulley, which is directly attached to the motor end there, and you have to cross it over, as you can see there, so that it's going to rotate the brushes correctly. And then you have these two large wheels here. Now these can actually sometimes do with a little drop of oil on the shaft there and there to make them run a bit better. And then you've got these two trailing wheels here. So it's a very free running vacuum cleaner. It's not hard to push at all, even though it is heavy. And it's only heavy because of course it's mainly metal construction. And then yeah, when you've fitted the belt, put those two clips in there, and that's it. You can change a belt like this in no time at all. The only thing I would say is the new belt was slightly challenging to fit because it's not stretched, so it fits that pulley really tight and you have to stretch it to fit it on there. I actually used a flat bladed screwdriver to do the job, and I got it on there okay. Of course you could even put the new belt in hot water before you fit it, and that would help stretch it just a little bit to get it on the pulley. Of course we'd never want to use any oil or grease to make it fit because that wouldn't do the belt any good. But there you are. I don't know how many belts this thing's had over the years, but that one that I've just replaced was on the vacuum cleaner when I got it, and I've had it at least a couple of years, so it was due a replacement. But I've been really pleased with it, and it can go back upstairs and carry on being the Hoover I use for the bedrooms and the landing upstairs. So there we go. I just thought I'd do a little video on it. It's not audio equipment, but it's old and it's electronic, and once again it's something that I still use on a daily basis in this house, along with many other old things. So and it is still going all these years on in 2026. So thanks for watching, and hope you found it a little bit interesting, and bye for now.